How to become a great public speaker. The way your words make people feel decides whether you will end up being a leader or a follower. From not being able to speak a sentence in English to delivering over 200 speeches across the world. From being denied a chance to host an event in school to being the youngest Indian to speak at the United Nations Assembly in Vienna and having my own course on public speaking. I really have come a long way. Everybody is a learner and then they become a teacher. So, how did it happen? How did a useless kid get to do all these things? Well, just like Zuckerberg, it happened in college. My experience of being ridiculed in school left me with no self worth whatsoever. I dreaded speaking in front of people. So, when I got to know that I needed to do a college presentation in order to pass a subject, it felt like my worst nightmare coming true. I could hear myself stuttering and my classmates laughing. But I still had one thing: I had 30 days to prepare myself. So, for the next month, I turned on my phone camera and recorded myself giving that presentation. I did that for 1 hour every day for the next 30 days. I prepared for 30 hours for a 5-minute presentation. And on D Day, when I went on stage to deliver that presentation, the entire class, along with my professor, applauded me. I could say that was my eureka moment because I loved every bit of it. I loved giving that presentation on stage. I loved the reaction I received. I loved the confidence boost it gave me. And I knew this was what I really wanted to do. My professor even took me around to different classes and asked me to give that presentation in order to show them how a presentation needed to be made. Later, she asked the dean to permit me to speak on stage. I did, and the whole college applauded. I was so happy that I told myself, now this is exactly what I want to do, and I acted on that. I reached out to all the colleges in my city, requesting them to let me give a presentation on how to give amazing presentations at their institute. Some of them replied, most didn't. Meanwhile, I knew that I wanted to take this to the next level, and for that, I had to get better at public speaking. So, what I did was, I picked up the speeches of speakers I admired the most: Martin Luther King, Les Brown, Gary Vaynerchuk, and started copying them. The exact same pauses, exact same voice modulations, the exact way of speaking. When I did this with speeches by 10 different people, I started to understand how I should speak, where to use a high pitch, where to lower my pitch, everything. I have put a lot of time and practice to reach the level I am at as a public speaker. There are two rules if you want to become a good public speaker. But before that, you should understand who a public speaker is. If you are talking in front of four people, be it your friends, your relatives, anyone, you are a public speaker. People confuse public speaking with stage performance. Going on a stage and talking or giving a speech is not public speaking, it is a performance. Public speaking is about how you talk to people in order to influence them and then handle all the objections and questions that they throw at you. What I am talking about here is public speaking and not stage performance. You won't fail at a performance if you are well prepared. Once you become a good public speaker and prepare well, you will succeed at stage performance as well. Now, as I said, there are two rules for public speaking. Rule 1: Never use words that people don't understand. Rule 1. Ask questions to engage with the audience. Now, did you see I wrote Rule 1 twice? It wasn't a mistake. I never say Rule 2. I always say Rule 1 because all my rules are Rule 1. So, the first point, did you notice in what you have read so far that I have kept this book simple? That's the same thing I do with my speeches. If you use difficult words, you won't be able to communicate your message to your audience. And for me, it is more important to deliver my message than to use words that are extremely hard to pronounce or understand. A person who has learned how to communicate can be a really good public speaker. All of us have to communicate, irrespective of which field we are in. If you are a business person, you need to be a good communicator to connect with your customers, inspire your employees, and even convince your investors. If you are an influencer, you need to communicate with your audience in order to build a deeper connection with them. The reason people are unable to talk to someone or tremble at the thought of speaking in front of people is because they are scared of judgment. But what we forget is that everyone is scared, every single one of us. And one way to lessen your fear is preparation. Prepare to put yourself out there, prepare yourself to handle rejections, and work on improving yourself. Yes, no matter how much you prepare, you are going to falter at some point or the other. Learn from your mistake and convert your goof up into a story that you can tell an audience. I follow a framework in order to be a better communicator and a better public speaker. It has everything that I have learned in these past 7 years. How to get noticed. The first step is to pause. Shh. You need to stand in front of your audience and just say nothing for a few seconds. The main reason for this is to command attention. Every single human being has an auto response system embedded in themselves. Let's say I go to a bar, I see a pretty girl, and suddenly say, "Hey, I'm Raj." The girl will be like, "No." We see Instagram ads, we scroll past, we see YouTube ads, we skip them. That's our autoresponder working for us. That's why you need to pause and put the ball in the "Array, what happened? Why isn't he saying anything?" mode. You create anticipation. That's how you break the pattern. So, you step out in front of the audience, pause, and command their attention. You indicate that you are not going to say a word unless you have their full attention, that they are not doing you a favor by listening to you, you are doing them a favor by speaking to them. Start with a bang. After you have paused for about 10 seconds, start with a bang. If you don't catch your audience's attention in the first few seconds, the men will be daydreaming about women and beer, and the women will be worrying about their loved ones. WhatsApp messages. If you haven't captured their attention in the first 10 seconds, then you have lost them for good. So start with a boom. Once I started a TEDx talk by playing a guitar, and I am not even good at playing the guitar. Why did I do it? Well, everyone was expecting me to start my talk with a thought provoking message. But I chose a way that would grab their attention and that they wouldn't quickly forget. Even if they didn't take anything from my talk, they'd still remember me because I broke the pattern and did something that they hadn't expected. There are four ways to start with a bang. 1. Cliches are a no no. How do people start their TEDx talks? By saying something inspirational. How did I start it? By playing a guitar. I don't know if my talk was good or bad. I don't know whether I inspired them, but I made sure that out of the 10 speakers that day, people would rather remember that there was one who played the guitar. 2. Yesterday. Yesterday is a good way to start. Suppose you are at your company's sales meeting. You can't start your 5-minute speech playing a guitar. If you start with, I promise this won't be long, I won't be boring. The moment you start with these lines, you are planting the idea that it won't be that long, but long enough to make them lose interest. It won't be too boring, but somewhat boring. Let's say you are in a board meeting and you have to say that last month the sales were good, but this month we just couldn't do it. So, you start like this. Yesterday I was trying to book a slot on the Covin app. I tried everything. My phone was charged. I got the OTP. I put in the OTP, but I couldn't get the slot. That's what I think happened with us. We tried everything to achieve the sales, but we couldn't. And that's just life. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying to get the slot for vaccination. And the sales figures of this month don't mean we are going to stop achieving our sales target. Now, this is such a powerful way to connect with people. You just have to make it relatable. You don't have to think about how you can make it relatable. You just have to talk about yesterday. Yesterday, I was calling my mom over and over, but she didn't respond. So I went to her and said, I was calling you, why didn't you answer? And that's what happened with us. We were shouting out loud with our marketing messages, but the customers weren't listening. We need to go out there to every single customer and make them listen to us. That's what we have to do this quarter. Immediacy and relevance can be built instantly. 3. This is an important thing. Appreciation should be real, not necessary. What do I mean by that? Let's go back to our school days. When we had chief guests coming in for any of the functions, the announcements would start with respected principal, respected teachers, respected students. We all knew there were no respected students there, so that was a formality. That is why you should never start with fake appreciation. There should be delayed appreciation. I appreciate all of you who are reading this book who took an interest in learning about personal growth. I'm appreciating the fact that you are still reading this book. You stayed even after my boring start, even after my boring stories. That's what I appreciate. You bought this book because you wanted to learn a lot of things. I'm writing this book because this is a part of my personal branding. It's a pure give and take relationship. There's no need for either of us to appreciate the other. Appreciation is something you get beyond what you expected. So, never start your speech with appreciation. It should come in between and be genuine. Fourth, the last thing is start with your strength. Everyone has a strength. Mine is rhyming. I love rhymes. So that's what I bring into my speeches in the beginning. Your strength could be anything: your wit, your ability to explain complicated concepts, anything. How to find out what's your strength? It's the way you talk to your friends. Signature appearance. You should have a signature appearance or gesture. Mine is my whiteboard and marker. You can see the whiteboard and marker in all of my videos. Barack Obama has a signature handshake. Every influential person has a signature gesture that differentiates them from the rest of the crowd. If you want to earn money and fame, you need to come up with something that will be associated with you. Your 1 minute of fame. What do I mean by this? Sometimes there are situations where you get only 1 minute to impress people. Elevator pitch, conferences, you want to impress an employee, you want to impress your boss, you want to impress people on social media. But you just have 1 minute. This 1 minute, or even just the first 30 seconds, are going to decide whether you are going to get the next 5 minutes or not. So, how do you prepare for your 1 minute of fame? The first thing you need to do is understand where you are and what your objective is. And then you start with your strength. You tell people what you have done or what you have achieved. So, I'll start. I am Raj Shamani and I have given speeches in more than 26 countries and I have taught college students as well as the president of Coca Cola, and I have a following of 1 million people to back this up. Do you want to know how did I do that? This will either impress them or make them wonder, why is he so cocky? What makes him so full of himself? In either case, I have their attention now and I have the 5 minutes that I wanted to get. It might seem arrogant, but the truth is, I believe in my achievements and I am bold about it. This gives me the attention that I want. Now, I am not asking you to be arrogant always, but to believe in your pitch and in yourself, and then, once you have their attention, you can be humble, kind, and a nice person who is willing to help. Now that you have their attention, leave them with a question. Never end a conversation with a statement. Always end with a question and keep people curious so that when they go home, they look you up. Kiss. Your speech should be like a kiss. A kiss is good when it is short and sweet. If it is really long, it could get suffocating. That's how the message of your speech should be, sweet and simple. The more you try experimenting with it, the worse it will get. The longer you try to stay there, the more your message will get lost. So, how can you make your speech like a kiss? By following the less is more concept. Do not try to add loads of examples. The shorter it is, the better. The next thing is you need to tell a story, not give a speech. How do you write a speech? You go on Google and copy a few things from here and there, and it becomes your speech. If you are going to tell a story, people will connect. If you write a speech, people will get bored. Now, there is the rule that I follow. It's called the 50% rule. No matter what you do, cut it down by 50%. If you have written one page, cut it down to half. If you wrote a 10-minute speech, cut it down to 5. I'll give you an example. I can say if I don't evolve on a day to day basis, I won't be able to win in life. Or, I need to change myself today. Most people think the longer the speech and the tougher the words, the better. No, bro, nobody has the time. Everyone is busy. So keep it concise and you are good to go.